Hello, everyone. The Trump administration had until July 26 to reunite the families that have been separated at the border with Mexico, part of a broad and stiffer initiative to dissuade illegal immigration into the United States. But there has been an outcry from the world and from the United States against the separation of families. Today, we have brought together 6 very different artists from different countries, from different origins, who are all united by an immigration story and are here to tell us why this is an important subject for them and what the artistic community can do to change things. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
If you can each introduce yourself for the camera.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm from Hash, and I was born in Louisiana, but lived most of my life in Mexico City.
I'm Hanna. I'm also from Hash, and I share her same background. We're sisters.
Hi, I'm Nacho. I was born in Venezuela, but I've been living in the United States for 8 years now.
Hi, I'm Victoria La Mala, and I'm originally from Mexico City, but I've been in the States for a little bit over 12 years.
My name is Christopher. I'm part of CNCO. I was born in Jersey, but I grew up in Ecuador.
Hello, my name is Erick. I'm from Cuba. I live in Miami, and I'm part of CNCO.
And I'm Leila Cobo, and I'm born in Colombia, have been living in this country for a little over 20 years. Welcome, everyone. Why was it important for you to be here? Many of you, I should say, flew in specifically for this round table. So I know this is un tema de corazón for you. Why was it important for you to be here? I don't know, Victoria, my Hash girls.
Well, as public figures, I think it's important to talk about situations that's happening in the world, to be able to use our platforms to be able to talk about a situation that's serious. And then also Ashley and I, as American citizens, we also feel that responsibility to share our point of view and a million of other Americans who also feel the same way.
I agree with you. I'm an immigrant. I was born in Mexico City. My family, my grandparents, my mom's side of the family has been in the States since before I was born. And I know some of the struggles that I've had to deal with since I came to this country. And because of that, I have so much empathy with the people that are going through all of this, because, you know, it pained me many years to be in that situation, that my family was in that situation. And I agree with you. I feel like as public figures, you know, we owe ourselves to the community. So it is our responsibility to give back to the community.
And Erick, you're from Cuba.
Cuba.
So why is it important for you to be here? You come, they are all from Mexico, you're from a completely different country. Why does this, por qué te toca este tema?
Bueno, yo vine para Cuba. Mi papá salió de Cuba para los Estados Unidos y me dejó a mí y a mi mamá muy chiquitos, y después nos reclamó y fuimos para los Estados Unidos. Y yo pienso que si eso no hubiera pasado, o sea, no estuviera aquí. Gracias a eso que hizo mi papá por nosotros y gracias a mi familia, pues estoy donde estoy. Eso ha sido todo una bendición y un sacrificio bien grande, so estoy bien agradecido.
Y Christopher, how about you? You were actually born in the States.
I was born in Jersey. I was born in Newark, New Jersey. But when I was 2 years old, my parents took me to Ecuador, and I grew up there. And when I turned 18, I went back to New Jersey by myself because of my family was like in a bad situation, and I needed to help them. And I had my passport and everything, but I feel bad for everything that is happening right now, because everybody needs the opportunity to grow as humans. You know, everybody needs these opportunities for their families, for everything. Y yo creo que todos somos seres humanos y todos merecemos las mismas oportunidades. So, no debería haber límites ni barreras en ninguno.
Ahora, Nacho, your story is very different. You're from Venezuela. You're a U.S. resident, correct? But you don't have a Venezuelan passport anymore. Why?
A ver, primero voy a comenzar diciéndote que yo, cuando era pequeño, viví en un país que era muy próspero, porque nosotros somos uno de los países del mundo con más petróleo. Entonces, era muy parecido a la situación que vive ahorita Dubái. ¿no? Después de que llega este nuevo sistema social y de gobierno a Venezuela, que comienza con Hugo Chávez, todo empezó a cambiar en Venezuela. Nosotros teníamos visas indefinidas, nos daban los Estados Unidos para venir para acá porque éramos muy prósperos. Pero todo eso ha cambiado ahora, ¿no? Y cambió con la entrada del supuesto socialismo, que es un pseudo socialismo, ¿no? Donde todo empezó a involucionar en mi país. Entonces, eso indefinido se convirtió en 10 años de visa. Después de 10 años de visa se convirtió en 5 años de visa. Después de 5 años se convirtió en 3. Y ahorita incluso la están dando en 6 meses y creo que la embajada por ahora no está entregando visas a venezolanos porque no teníamos cultura de ser emigrantes. Pero esta situación y esta crisis fuerte de Venezuela nos ha conducido a otra realidad. Entonces estoy viendo venezolanos en todos lados del mundo. La parte más difícil de entrar es los Estados Unidos, pero hay unos que se están arriesgando a ir hasta Panamá y de ahí tomar Centroamérica, llegar a México y también hacer el salto por la frontera para poder estar en los Estados Unidos para aspirar a un futuro mejor, ¿sabes? Siento que es parte del desespero de muchas personas que quieren un mejor futuro. Entonces, no creo que necesiten ser tratados como criminales, porque el único crimen es tratar de lograr una mejor realidad, ¿sabes? Una mejor calidad de vida. Entonces, creo que educándolos y explicándoles cuáles son las consecuencias de pasar ilegal antes de buscar hacer un proceso legal para poder entrar al país, ¿sabes? Es importante. Creo que obviamente desde Cuba ya se vive otra realidad, ¿sabes? Que la gente tiene que, digamos, buscar salir de cualquier manera. Pero está pasando en Venezuela también.
When you hear the national conversation about immigration, there is a lot of people that, of course, say we should be more tolerant of immigrants, etc. There's a lot of people that say, oh, but they're doing something illegal. They crossed here illegally. They came here illegally. What do you, as people and as artists, find is the most misunderstood thing about immigration? When you talk to people that do not want to ease the loss of immigration, what do you think they don't understand?
I feel that we're blessed because we're able to travel and we're able to see the people. We're able to actually go to another country and live their culture and see, and actually we see the humane side. I feel whenever you're not exposed to that, you just see the law, you just see the news. And on the contrary, whenever you're able to actually see the person and hear the person's needs and see their families, that's when the humane side comes in. And I feel what a lot of times people are missing, because I feel there's more good than bad, right? And we all have a really good, todos tenemos nuestros lados buenos, y hay más bien que mal. Whenever people are exposed to the humane side, I feel that the compassion will always triumph the law, will always be above that.
So what we're missing now is compassion.
Is for people to actually hear the stories, and then also the laws are written by human beings. In the 60s, before it was a black person, by law they were slaves until we all got together and said, listen, this is not right. This humanely is not right. And then what happened? The laws changed. What happens right now in immigration, maybe the laws need to be more efficient so that everybody can have an opportunity to get papers, right? And then that just becomes more efficient, because at the end of the day, the seed for capitalism is competition. Imagine governments fighting for people to actually come to their country and work, right?
What you're saying is completely right. I think that this country was founded, with immigrants, and I think that most of the people that have come in generations before came here for the American dream, and it just seemed like such a beautiful thing that you could come from anywhere with nothing, just like a dream. And if you work hard enough, you could become anything you want. And I agree with you. I think that some of the people that want the laws and all these things, that they're like, no, but they're doing something wrong, are mostly people that don't really know those stories, that don't really see the humane side, that don't really see that for these people to leave their country, that was already a big decision that I feel like hurt most of those people. To leave your family behind, to leave your friends behind, your life, It takes a lot to make the decision to say, you know what, I have to do this for myself, I have to do this for my family. And I think that we have to look at that too. Most people I know that are immigrants that have come here, whether it's, legally or illegally, come here to work, They don't come here to say, oh, let me just collect the check and lay in my bed and be comfortable. These people come and work 2-3 jobs to really make that dream come true. And I think that that's where the disconnect is, you know. Most people don't come here saying, let me just go be a criminal, let me just go be lazy. People come here to work hard and accomplish their dreams for a better life and a better future for themselves and their family.
I mean, we just heard it from Christopher. He left his family at a young age because he needed to work, and he went to help his family. What a better example is someone at his young age showing. It's not coming here, like you say, to just get money. It's to work in a land that gives you
the opportunity to. And again, but it's all what we're fed. If every night you turn on the news and you hear all these negative things, well, naturally, what happened? You think of someone who migrates, and you think the stereotype of it's a rapist, or it's someone who's just coming to take the jobs, or you think all these negative things. But what if that dialogue changes? What if it's, you know what, people are coming in, and this country will become more prosperous, right? Because
this country is already better because of all the immigrants that have come from Latin America.
Well, one thing that's very important, and not to be the devil's advocate here, but it's not that 10 years ago during the Obama administration it was easier to immigrate, quite frankly. I mean, they weren't separating families at the border, but the immigration policies were this, well, I don't want to be an expert on immigration, but it wasn't that it was easier then.
No, it's just that right now, negative attention is every night in the news, and if you have a president that says Latins are bad, Mexicans are bad, what do you expect the people to feed off of that?
So as Latin artists, how does this touch you? When you hear this rhetoric every night in the news,
1,000%.
Does this affect you, and how?
1,000%, because number one, they need to understand that that's not true. Number two, it's offensive. Number three, you have to be
But you know what happens?
ignorant to be saying all those things.
I agree.
Whenever you're not exposed to a different culture, whenever you're used to just, seeing your life one way, whenever new things come in and you're not really educated, you will always tend to see these things as being bad, right? And I feel that's what usually happens in the United States. If people are exposed and they need to know that, have someone who speaks a different language than you, or someone who has a different culture, is not bad. Al contrario, it's going to enrich us all. Culture enriches people. Our differences enrich people.
The biggest mistake right now is not having culture, is not having education. You talk to any American that has left the U.S. and has gone to Cancun, whether it be just gone a spring break, the first thing they'll tell you is, we love Mexico, the people are awesome. If they go to South America, they'll say, oh my God, the people are awesome. That's people que tienen mundo.
Se atreven a salir.
So once you know that Latin people have much more to offer than what the news is telling you. So if you don't have a mind of your own, you're going to tend to think that ignorant thought.
Now, una cosa, Nacho, in your case, you're Venezuelan, and your country, I mean, here in the States, we tend to focus, or the media tends to focus on what's happening at that border, at the Mexican border. And yet, as you mentioned, you come from a country that is undergoing a humongous diaspora right now, with Venezuelans going everywhere. I'm Colombian. I know, we're getting a lot of Venezuelans coming into the border. So do you feel that people's relationship with you has changed because you're Venezuelan and your country is in crisis?
Para serte sincero, para mí en la manera, en el plano artístico, lo más difícil para mí, en el plano artístico, en el plano personal es otra cosa, en el plano espiritual es otra cosa, pero en el plano artístico lo más difícil para mí es no poder contar con mi gente como parte de mi público. Me explico, yo tengo que hacer vida artística fuera de mi país. Yo tengo 2 años sin poder entrar a mi país porque...
Okay, y no hemos tocado eso. ¿Por qué no puedes? Why can't you go to Venezuela? Tell us what happened.
No puedo entrar a mi país porque yo he sido vocero de todas las cosas que siento y que estoy seguro que están mal dentro de Venezuela. Y cuando tú tienes un gobierno autoritario, ese gobierno no permite que nadie lo critique, porque es un gobierno que quiere perpetuarse en el poder, llevarse todas las riquezas para ellos y para su familia, empobrecer al pueblo porque no tienen el corazón suficiente para atender las necesidades de los demás. No, yo creo que tienen el corazón tan podrido que no les importa ver a la gente mal mientras ellos estén bien. ¿me entiendes? Entonces, como yo he sido tan fuerte, y me avala la seguridad de la gente, que la gente está pendiente de lo que yo estoy haciendo, que Venezuela me quiere, ¿me entiendes? Ellos quizás no me han hecho nada más que atacarme en contra de mis documentos. Y la última vez que yo salí de Venezuela tuve que salir ilegal por la trocha hasta Colombia. Y cuando llegué a Colombia, gracias a Dios, Migración Colombia se portó muy bien conmigo y me ayudó a regresar a los Estados Unidos después de que me tuvieron más de 2 meses sin poder ver a mi familia.
Wow. So you're a different kind of illegal immigrant.
Sí, entonces fíjate, yo creo que eso es lo que pasa, ¿sabes? Con este tipo de gobiernos autoritarios. ¿Cómo lo sacas, sabes? ¿Cómo tienes que contar también con la mirada de los otros países y que sigan influyendo en la libertad del país, pero por ahora está difícil para mí volver a Venezuela.
So it's very important, this understanding that it's not just the states, no? That you have countries that go through crisis, and then it's kind of the world's responsibility maybe to help them. I'm not going to get into the Middle East, but for example, Erick, your dad left Cuba in a boat. He did not leave legally.
De hecho, como estaba diciendo ahorita, yo era muy pequeño, ni me acuerdo cuando él salió, pero creo que me dijo, no, espérate que vengo para acá un segundo, no sé qué cosa, y se fue y nunca regresó. Y eso a mi familia le chocó muchísimo. Mi mamá tuvo que estar conmigo sola, ¿no? Y estar conmigo. Mi papá nos reclama después.
¿Después de cuánto tiempo?
Como 5 o 4 años nos reclama, y es que tenemos la oportunidad de venir para acá. Y como estaba diciendo nosotros llegamos a este país para un mejor futuro, o sea, para un mejor futuro que en Cuba no está, no lo hay, que quizás si me hubiera quedado en Cuba no hubiera estado aquí, porque en Cuba no te brindan esas oportunidades, ¿no? que te brindan aquí. Y no sé, pienso que todos tenemos el mismo derecho.
Ahora, Christopher, ¿tú te acuerdas? You grew up in Ecuador. I mean, your parents were here illegally, and you happened to be born here. Then they went back because they had no papers, right?
They went back because of mi familia estaba mal, mis abuelitos estaban mal en enfermedad, o sea, tenían una enfermedad y tuvieron que volver porque mi mamá necesitaba estar con ellos en ese proceso que estaban pasando. Entonces nos regresamos y yo me vine a los 2 años y yo crecí toda mi vida en Ecuador, o sea, yo soy ecuatoriano 100%. Yo crecí en Ecuador y era feliz, ¿me entiendes? O sea, tenía mis amigos, mi familia, fue mi primer novia, mi primer beso, mi primer todo, ¿me entiendes? Y Ecuador es algo increíble para mí, ¿me entiendes? Pero cuando todo esto pasa, mi mamá perdió su trabajo, mi abuelito cayó con cáncer y yo me sentía impotente. Y yo ya terminé el colegio a los 17, me gradué. Y yo es el año sabático, se le dice en Ecuador, que tú tomas un año para pensar qué vas a estudiar en la universidad. Y todo ese año fue como un proceso muy fuerte, en el cual maduré mucho, pero no lo suficiente como para tomar la decisión de irme solo a los Estados Unidos. O sea, yo sabía que tenía el pasaporte, pero nunca pensé en volver a los Estados Unidos. Yo era feliz en Ecuador y Ecuador es mi vida y ya. Pero me vi la necesidad de pues, venir a los Estados Unidos, pero fue algo muy difícil porque dejas todo. Simplemente lo dejas todo, empiezas una nueva vida desde cero y hay veces que la soledad te come completo y simplemente lo único que te da esa energía, que te da ese impulso todos los días es pensar en tu familia, en tu mamá, en tu papá, en tus abuelitos, en que estén bien, en que puedes hacer lo que sea en el país en el que estás porque nadie te conoce, o sea, puedes hacer lo que sea para conseguir ese dinero y poder mandárselos y que estén felices. Y mientras ellos estén felices y tú tengas lo que sea para comer, tú estás bien. Entonces, yo gracias a Dios pude venir y estuve viviendo solo aproximadamente 1 año. En el proceso en el que yo estaba acá en Estados Unidos, mi abuelito falleció y él fue como mi papá toda mi vida. Entonces fue como un golpe muy duro que me dio la vida, pero que me hizo crecer mucho, me hizo madurar mucho, porque yo por él, yo creo que estoy aquí en este momento. Él me dio la fuerza, el empujón que yo necesitaba para poder estar aquí y no volver a Ecuador y no decir no, bueno, porque yo tuve muchas veces que yo dije yo quiero volver a Ecuador y no quiero estar aquí, no me gusta esto, hice muchas cosas que no me gustaron, pero las hice por mi familia.
Y ahorita estás en CNCO, you won la banda and you're in CNCO.
Gracias a Dios.
And Victoria, what is your story?
Yeah, a lot of people think I'm Mexican American, but I was born and raised in Mexico City. My mom's side of the family immigrated to the States in the 70s. And in the 80s, at some point, they got like an amnesty. So we used to come and visit them in LA growing up, like every summer, every Christmas break. And, you know, to me, like the States was almost like a second home, right? Because every time school was off, we knew we were just gonna come back here. But when I was out of high school, I decided, okay, I wanna be an artist. This is what I really wanna do. And I was looking for opportunities in Mexico, but the big opportunity came to me when was from the States. Someone heard a demo I had and they were like, hey, come to Florida, do some shows. The shows went good. They told me, come to New York. And every show I did, I was getting something else. So I just thought, you know what, the opportunities are here and I just have to take them because this is what I want for my life. And that's exactly why I understand these people, because my mom, my siblings, my whole life was in Mexico, you know, the whole time. And even though I had family in California, I was even scared to travel from New York to California. And things weren't even as difficult, you know, and as crazy back then as they are now. So I totally have empathy for these people that literally just have a dream and want to make, you know, their dreams come true, their life become better, and you have to leave everything behind, and that takes a lot.
When we had Hurricane Maria, actually, the entire Latin community, artistic community, seemed to rally. But we had these immigration marches a few weeks ago, and for the life of me, I could not find any Latin artists in these marches. I found Victoria.
Yes.
And now I know that you guys weren't here, and there was not a march. You marched too?
No.
No.
No, pero quiero decirte lo que yo pienso con respecto a eso.
Dale, porque la pregunta era ¿por qué creen que ha sido más muted la reacción?
Yo creo que los artistas latinos en los Estados Unidos todavía no estamos convencidos del poder que tenemos en la voz, ¿me entiendes? Sentimos que no llegamos tanto y como no nos los creemos, entonces simplemente nos callamos. ¿Sabes? Quizás ponemos una que otra cosa, pero no sentimos que tenemos el impacto de un artista norteamericano. Yo no sé si es verdad, pero a mí me han dicho que nosotros a nivel, por lo menos de música, representamos los latinos un porcentaje bien bajito, ¿sabes? Con respecto a, por darte un ejemplo. Entonces, artísticamente sentimos que no tenemos quizás ese impacto por lo menos el público norteamericano, ¿sabes? Y quizás sentimos que esas son las personas que tienen que enterarse porque nosotros como latinos ya sabemos lo que está pasando. Pero el problema comienza en la raíz, y la raíz es que cuando este señor entró de presidente, lo primero que sembró fue xenofobia, ¿sabes? Lo primero que sembró fue, somos seres humanos distintos, y eso es mentira. Nosotros somos simples seres humanos, negros, blancos, chiquitos, grandes, todos sufrimos, padecemos lo mismo, somos igual de vulnerables, somos igual de especiales. Cuando tú marcas esas diferencias, entonces ahí comienza el conflicto, porque nosotros también nos sentimos segregados, ¿me entiendes? También nos sentimos separados. Y por eso no sentimos el poder de expresar a través de nuestras redes, o de ir y pararnos ir a una marcha y sentir que realmente estamos haciendo la diferencia, pero
That's very interesting concept.
Yo creo que también hay muchos latinos que tienen miedo de hablar. Creo que este es un tema súper controversial ahora, y creo que hay mucha gente que tiene miedo de contar su historia, de exponerse a que alguien llegue y diga, okay, let me see how do you get here and what do you do and
Let me
why
scrutinize your papers.
Yes,
are you legal?
And I think that's part of the issue, that is such a controversial matter.
Also, I think everyone also has their way of helping. El hecho que se están soltando las familias no creo que fue por la bondad del corazón del gobierno, fue por la voz de tantas personas que mostraron su inconformidad, desde los artistas que en sus plataformas digitales mostraron esa inconformidad a ciertas personas que fueron a marchar o simplemente los actos que cada uno hacemos sin que necesariamente tengamos que exponer esos actos.
Hannah and I, as U.S. citizens and our family's American, we spoke out about it and we're very firm in our posture because our fans are Latin and we have their backs 100%. And maybe, like Nacho says, maybe we don't have the power of Bruno Mars. Maybe we don't have that fan base, but you know what? The few fans that we do have that are going through this, as long as they see that their artists support them.
And is speaking for them.
I think that's all.
I believe we do
but
have.
that's
it. I think we believe we don't have.
But
it.
not
You know,
only,
like,
I agree.
No, but like
Yeah.
if it's your people, our people, it all starts adding up. And what happened in the border right now of them releasing is because of everybody's little, el granito de arena que todos pusimos para eso.
I think what Nacho also means is that when we as Latins speak, especially in Spanish, we're kind of talking to ourselves, right? We're talking like in our little box, and maybe people that are out there are not getting the message.
Eso.
Also, something that's awesome to know is that we're the largest minority in the United States, so our voice will be heard now. Like the Latins that actually live here, we're more and more every time. Like if you ask us, we grew up in Louisiana, we lived half of our life in Louisiana, half in Mexico, and before, when we'd go to school in Louisiana in elementary, we were the only ones who spoke Spanish. Like, it was like the coolest thing that our friends would hear speak Spanish, and we were the only Latins. 20 years later, we go there, and there's a lot of Latin people that are actually living there now.
Do you feel it's your artistic responsibility to say something, or is that just a very personal thing y que cada cual viva su vida?
With great power comes great responsibility. No? And at the end of the day, we're humans. We're here thanks to the people. And I don't want, whenever Hash is done, I don't want them to just say, oh, they had pretty songs. No, I want them to know that we were human and we had empathy with people.
Yo creo que cada quien hace con su vida lo que le dé la gana de hacer, realmente, ¿sabes? Pero yo pienso que es un derecho moral por encima de lo que esté escrito. Hay cosas que son simplemente humanas, ¿sabes? No hay nada de bondad en separar a niños de su mamá y pensar que van a estar mejor, porque este esfuerzo que ellos hacen como familia lo están haciendo de hecho por amor a sus hijos, ¿sabes? Por querer ver a su familia mejor. Entonces se está tratando el amor como un crimen y eso no puedes escribirlo en ningún libro ni ponerlo en ningún lado, ¿sabes? Y pienso que con respecto al asunto de que nosotros como latinos, más allá de ser latinos, tenemos que hacerlo por ser humanos, ¿sabes?
Estoy de acuerdo.
Nos esté pasando a los latinos, le esté pasando a los africanos, le esté pasando a los asiáticos, ¿sabes? Tenemos que nosotros involucrarnos en todas las causas que tengan que ver con algo que esté humanamente mal.
For me personally, I do regional Mexican music, and I feel like a lot of the people that follow me, that have supported my career, have been directly affected by that. Because just like you said, I feel like there's been specific pointing out to the Mexican border and Mexican immigration, and a lot of the people that I've talked to are just so scared. They're so scared that to even go to work, to be driving without a license and have been stopped by somebody and then get deported. Mm-hmm. So I think that for me, especially, it's really important to speak out, because these are the people that have helped me accomplish my dream and supported me through it all. And I think that it is my responsibility to speak up and have a voice for the people that can't speak up because they're just so afraid to lose the life that they fought so hard for.
No, you marched. You marched in LA.
I marched, and to be honest with you, I was so surprised to see the amount of different people from all walks of life. I literally saw a group of older people with their walkers and canes that weren't Latinos. I saw, people from all walks of life, and I really thought that was really amazing. But I must say what you said, that I expected a little more from the Latino artistic community. I know that not all of us could have gone to March because everybody has, busy
Different
schedules.
agendas.
But, I didn't see a lot of posts about it. I didn't see a lot of awareness about it.
Pero fíjate, yo creo que eso también puede ser falta de información porque muchos de nosotros no nos enteramos cuándo se marchó. Y eso habla también de la, ¿sabe? De la convocatoria también. ¿Sabe? De que a nosotros como latinos, a muchos artistas latinos no nos está llegando la agenda que nosotros podemos decidir sea nuestra agenda primordial y poder cambiar, hacer un show por ir a hacer una marcha, pero tenemos que enterarnos. Entonces, para estar enterado, tiene que estar involucrado completamente con la política del país.
Eso es un gran punto.
Y muchas veces no lo estamos.
Ahora, I want to speak a little bit about those of you that have U.S. passports. You, Victoria, you got your American passport.
I do have my American passport.
So why did you get it and how did you feel when you went to that ceremony?
Para mí fue importante porque de alguna manera pues yo ya tenía mi vida aquí en Estados Unidos, ¿no? Después de tanto tiempo. Y la verdad es que fui y lo saqué porque mi mamá me dijo, hace 4 años o más o menos 5, que fue cuando ya tenía mi residencia legal, me dijo, tienes que ir a sacar su pasaporte, mijita, porque como están las cosas, se va a poner más duro. Y yo decía, no, mami, no, it's okay. Y tanto me insistió que dije, okay, let me just make my mom happy. Let me go get it. And honestly, now I'm really happy. I listened to her, and I got it because things are just really getting crazy. And I really do feel, I love Mexico. I go to Mexico all the time. But I feel like now my life is here, my roots are here now. I've been here for so long. My friends, my family is now all here.
Do you remember the ceremony? Was it exciting?
It was exciting. It was exciting. I felt like, oh my God, I'm becoming officially part of this country. But of course, I was born and raised in Mexico. So for me, I'm always going to be Mexican.
You're both?
I'm both, yeah.
I have to say I'm Colombian, and I was here on a green card for years because I thought I'm Colombian. And then just to show how these things cycle, there was a time about 15 years ago when I got my passport where things were really bad too. And people were being stopped and there were immigration raids, and I finally thought, oh my God, I should get this passport just in case. And I did, and I have to say that the ceremony was very exciting. I mean, it's very exciting when you kind of adopt, you recite the values of the country and you realize what the country is about, and you stand there with the little flag and you get the passport. It's a moment, for me, it was a moment of immense pride. So I think that that's why it como que me choca to find that this is going on, that families are separated, and that people both inside the country and outside the country kind of have lost the concept of what the United States is.
Well, for Hanna and I, it was different because we were born and we have our American passport, but we went go get our Mexican passport.
we celebrated when we got the Mexican passport, which is the opposite. But just to say something on what you're saying, is that right now there is a lot of extreme, right? Because this issue is an issue that's talked about a lot. But whenever the pictures of the kids being separated in the border, because I live in the United States, so I'd see the news, right? And what made me feel good is that whenever people saw that, you did see the humane side come out of people here in the U.S. I'm not talking about the Latins who live here, I'm talking about the Americans who live here. And so it also feels good. Why? Because what you're fed if you leave the U.S. is that pretty much the standpoint of the Americans is, get rid of all the people who are coming in. And that's not also true. And it also felt good whenever this was happening, seeing, also Americans saying, no, this is unacceptable. This is not going to happen.
So why didn't we have more huge Latin names marching? We were talking about this earlier, you and I.
I mean, honestly, we had a concert, not we would have been there.
No, but you were saying how you feel that...
Another reason that we also feel something to take back is natural disasters have been happening for many years. We've all been exposed to a certain type of natural disaster, or at least most of us have been, so we have that connection. I feel what's happening right now with toda la migración, it's relatively new. And people, I feel, will be on board, but these things that have been happening in the past couple of years, and I mean, I would even say almost months, right? The news of like the families being separated and all that. Because this issue has been going on for many years, but it hasn't really been in the news until the past couple months.
So each of you is involved in some way with something. Nacho, you're very involved more in Venezuela with affecting change in Venezuela than affecting change here, correct? Y qué esfuerzo, but I think this is very valid because what we've realized here is that everybody's problems are the same, no? I mean, you can be up one day and then down one day and then things are different and you might need to migrate. So, concretamente, ¿tú qué haces para ayudar o concientizar sobre la situación en Venezuela?
A ver, mira, a mí no me gusta que los medios me den la noticia, ¿sabes? Me gusta enterarme y vivir la situación. Entonces, cuando empezó todo esto de la protesta en Venezuela, entendiendo yo también que la oposición quería la salida del gobierno, yo no quise enterarme por redes sociales, entonces me fui para Venezuela a ver si de verdad el ejército estaba reprimiendo, como está sucediendo ahorita en Nicaragua, al pueblo. Y lo viví en carne propia, ¿sabes? Me dispararon perdigones, me dispararon bombas lacrimógenas y tragué bombas lacrimógenas y parte de mi equipo se estaba ahogando, ¿sabes? Vivimos todas las penurias de la gente que quería un futuro mejor. Y entonces empecé a involucrarme más porque empecé a caminar también y a meterme por todos los sitios más vulnerables en el país y vi cómo la gente estaba mal, ¿sabes? Cómo le faltaba de todo, los productos básicos para comer, cómo los padres tenían que sacrificarse o dejar de comer ellos un día para que comieran sus hijos un día y después los hijos no comían y comían ellos. Y yo viendo esa realidad, ¿sabes? Dije, esto tengo que denunciarlo, entonces empecé a denunciarlo out loud. ¿Sabes? En todos lados, en cualquier entrevista que hacía, a través de mis redes sociales, a pesar de que mucha gente me decía como que estás perdiendo el foco, tú eres un artista, ya va, pero es demasiado egoísta pensar que si me están siguiendo 8 y pico millones de personas en redes sociales, yo quiera que toda esa atención, ¿sabes?, sea para mí. Yo creo que eso es algo que te está dando la vida como una herramienta y puedes utilizarla para bien, para formar parte de las personas que quieren poner el granito de arena para hacer de este mundo un mundo mejor. Entonces yo pienso que ahora quiero formar parte de las soluciones. ¿Y cuáles son las soluciones? Pues yo, como artista que me está yendo bien, quiero tener el permiso incluso de ese gobierno con el que no comulgo de poder enviar yo alimento y de poder enviar yo medicinas. Y eso lo estoy haciendo desde los Estados Unidos. Entonces es un país que me está permitiendo ayudar a mi país, ¿sabes? Siento que si yo salgo y una persona me ve y siente que yo soy un criminal o soy un violador, están siendo bastante injustos con una persona que llegó a este país y que le ha brindado trabajo a más de 30 personas en su compañía que son de los Estados Unidos, ¿sabes? Y estoy pagando taxes, estoy haciendo las cosas bien como inmigrante, entonces creo que si yo lo puedo hacer, todo el que entra con esa intención también lo puede hacer, ¿sabes?
That's wonderful. Erick, ¿tú recuerdas cuando primero llegaste a Estados Unidos? ¿Nos puedes decir cuál fue tu primera impresión cuando bajaste del avión y viste Estados Unidos?
No, pues sí, pues yo me bajé del avión y lo primero que hice fue ir a una tienda. Y yo me quedé loco.
Diles la verdad, fuiste a comprar el disco de hash.
Oye, pero me quedé loco con la comida. No sé, fue increíble. Además, ver a mi papá, que no lo veía hace rato. Eso fue bien bonito.
Pero quedaste loco con la abundancia, porque de pronto había cosas que no habías tenido.
Sí, exactamente, que no había tenido y que allá no estaban, porque allá hay cosas que, o sea, que para mí ni existían. Entonces cuando llegué aquí vi todo tan grande.
Ahora ustedes son ambos muy jóvenes, bueno, son miembros de CNCO, es toda una nueva generación. Entonces, toda esta cuestión migratoria es un poco nueva, es un poco diferente, pero la han vivido. ¿Cuál es el mensaje que quieren mandarle a sus fans y a sus posibles nuevos fans?
Pues que simplemente no necesariamente tiene que ser latino, no necesariamente tiene que ser cubano, ecuatoriano, mexicano como para ponerte la causa. Esto es algo que nos afecta a todos como seres humanos y yo creo que todos deberían tener los mismos derechos, como lo dijo Nacho, todos los mismos derechos las mismas posibilidades de superarse como seres humanos y como crecer como personas.
Y que a todas esas personas y esos jóvenes que sigan sus sueños, que no dejen que nadie ni nada los detenga, que si nosotros estamos aquí cumplimos nuestro sueño, ustedes también pueden cumplir el suyo.
Todo lo que se proponga, siempre estén positivo.
Siempre positivo, que con mucho respeto y con muchísima disciplina
Se logra todo.
Victoria, you released a single just recently, then which is inspired on your immigration experience, and the proceeds are actually going to go toward a nonprofit. Can you tell us a little bit?
Yes, I released the single called Corazón Valiente because, like I said before, I have a lot of friends and family that have come to this country as immigrants, and some of them still are here without any legal status. And because I felt their pain, I had a writing session the day after it was announced that that guy was going to be taken away from the Dreamers. So it just really felt so close to my heart because I talked to some of my friends and they were so devastated. I had a writing session and I decided to write about it. So this song, Corazón Valiente, I released along with a campaign where I'm doing a Corazón Valiente spotlight, where I'm highlighting immigrants that have come to this country without a legal status and have made a big contribution to this country, whether they became doctors, lawyers, engineers. And I am also working on doing a fundraiser for Raíces, which is an organization that is helping the families at the border with lawyers and legal fees.
Fantastic. And how about you guys? You're involved also with Save the Children, correct?
Yes, we've been working with Save the Children for the past 10, 12 years. Save the Children is at the border right now, helping all these children, and us in the next couple of days will be posting on our social media ways that people can continue to contribute to Save the Children, or what they can do to actually make a difference.
In your social media, do any of your fans tweet or post and tell you that they're going through specific migratory issues?
In our social media, we have a lot of fans that are saying, thank you so much, my family's going through this. And then also a lot of fans have told us, thank you so much for informing us, we didn't know. So that's also very
useful to use our social
Of
media
course.
to also communicate what's happening.
And I'm sure you I know you use your social media to communicate.
Yeah. Sí, yo uso bastante mi social media para ese tipo de temas y siempre, sí, lo más importante es poder comunicar, poder aportar, ¿sabes? Poder todo el tiempo formar parte de las soluciones, ¿sabes? Y de poner el granito de arena que uno pueda poner.
Thank you, everybody, for being here with us today at Billboard. This is a very productive discussion, which I hope is going to open minds and hearts, and that music is a big part and artistry is a big part. So thank you for being here with us today.